Hi everyone, I'm Pat Cosentino, Superintendent of Region 12. I'm here today with Kim Gallo, Principal of Shepaug Valley School, and we're here today to give an update on the AgSTEM program. I know that some people think that there's been a cone of silence for a while, and there has been, and that's because we've really been trying to work with the state to do some revisions, and so we wanted to give everyone an update to know where we are and how we're moving forward. And Kim and I thought this would be a great time to do so. So we'll start with, I guess, over the summer, we really were back and forth with the state and the State Department of Education, Ellen Cohn, Deputy Commissioner, and DAS, Department of Administrative Services, to really help do some revisions, I would say, to our program. So I'll ask Kim to just give a little background on that, and then I'll put in my 2 cents.
Sure. When we first put in the application, we were looking at a very enthusiastic approach to how many kids do we want to be impacted by this program.
Exactly.
How much more interest can we generate? Because in the past, the Region 14 has not done a complete I'm searching for the word, but
recruitment.
Thank you very much. They haven't done a complete recruitment, and because they frankly don't like turning down so many kids.
Exactly.
They were already turning down half of the students that applied.
Exactly.
So we took a very enthusiastic approach to it, and the state, probably because of the financial straits that we're in and the conservative times that we live in, and approaches that we live in, they looked and said, okay, let's look at this in a much more pragmatic way. What if each of the systems that have signed on to this program participated in the most minimal way that they could and still meet the obligation that they've agreed to?
Exactly.
And it's a pragmatic approach. I certainly don't disagree with it.
Right.
And I think that in our own hearts and minds, we believe that with recruitment, with the addition of STEM, with the interest that we'll generate with this program, that we can do better than this pragmatic approach. But that's what we look at in terms of the finances,
Sure.
and that's a fair thing to do.
And the first new program in Connecticut in about 25 years.
That's right.
Okay, so absolutely. So I guess to summarize that, what we have been doing is we've been refining our projected enrollment based on the school systems that are going to send students to Region 12 when we open as an agri-science STEM program.
That's right.
We have included the cap from Danbury, which at this point they have given us 15 students, and hopefully that'll be negotiable in the future. We have developed numbers that include Bethel and do not include Bethel, knowing that we have a meeting with them in December and hoping they're going to join. And then we've included our other towns, plus the Shepaug. So I guess we have many different iterations out there of numbers. We have numbers based on applications. Bob Geeson, our Director of Finance, did a longitudinal research study, I guess, of the numbers up to 2025 based on the percentage of applications that have happened in the past.
Right.
So we had those numbers. Then we had Anthony Amato, one of our board members, who he did more of a plan of the numbers based on the population in +1 with Danbury, without Danbury, and we have numbers there. So last week we had an average range of numbers between, I believe, 119 and 151.
Right.
Based on the different scenarios. So the Board of Ed, Wednesday night, decided to go with 139 students right now. And so that's what we're sending to the state. We are very confident we can get a lot more than 139 students. But I think we've been asked to be conservative. I think the board feels comfortable with that number. I think some members of the board would have liked it to be higher. But I think we came to consensus and we reached 139. I know that there are a lot of people out there who have their own way of figuring this out and think it should be lower or higher, but we had to decide on a number, so that's what we decided on. So that's the population enrollment that we went with. Now, we received a letter September 22nd from Ellen Cohn, and in that letter, she talked about the population, and then she talked about the building itself.
Right.
Shepaug has a very large footprint, and it does because we have some very large spaces throughout Shepaug. This building was built in the 1970s.
The very early 70s.
Right. At that time, it was open education model, which was really, and I did a lot of my student teaching in that model, where not a lot of walls, a lot of open space, not chaos, but just a lot of open space. Probably, I would say, in the 80s, that model changed and people wanted their walls back. And so what happened in Shepaug is they put up walls. Mm-hmm. Now, they put up walls as best they could. So that's why we have some of these very weird shaped walls around the mall. So we have this large mall space. We have these cadre of classrooms around. And then you have on the outside of the building, you have other classrooms. Then we have a very large mall. We have a pool. We have a gym. We have a cafeteria. So when you look at the footprint of Shepaug and the state looks at it and they saw our original plan, they said, you know what? We're thrilled you're going to be the 20th Agri-Science program, but we want you to bring some of that agri-science space into the current footprint of the building.
Right, right.
So we have a couple of photos, and the first one is the site plan, the overall site plan, which is in black and white. But if you look at the site plan, and hopefully it's on screen right now, you will see at the north end of the complex that original large building for AgSTEM is no longer there. And you will see that the greenhouses have moved to the south side of the building. So I am going to show you pieces of the site plan and just give you an idea, and then we could talk a little bit more about that. So basically, when we originally did the agri-science plan with KB&A, our architects, we had a large portion outside of the building. We've moved it inside. So if we can show that piece there, you'll see now we have food services inside. We have some classrooms. We have the sales area.
Food science.
Food science. We have that whole piece now, which is inside of the building where the old woodworking used to be. Am I right? And the
Yes.
old...
The auto and graphics.
Right. That now is all going to be AgSTEM. Mm-hmm. And so that is using our current building to provide space for agri-science STEM. And that'll be part of the grants. Mm-hmm. Instead of being new, it'll be renovated.
And we've also taken big pieces of it out. In looking at the original plan, it had a large admin area and a large teacher area. Well, we have our newly renovated teacher work area.
Exactly.
That is more than adequate to accommodate the ag science teachers, and it also fits with our philosophy of saying, yes, this will be a program that kids sign on to, but we want this program to impact all kids.
Exactly.
Lots of cross-curricular opportunities and so forth. Those teachers will be planning together and working together, and that's the way we want it.
Sure. And then what has remained the same in the plan is the equine center is there, although we've
downsized it significantly.
Exactly.
We took a very close look at it way back when. We were doing this before all of these conversations because we knew a $5 million equine center, it just didn't feel right.
And the classroom,
however,
I believe,
we eliminated the classroom and we eliminated an admin area there because we can walk from an office outside. That's fine.
Right. Then the large and small animal building is maybe similar, a little smaller, but very similar. It had to be.
Yep.
Then we have added onto the building the whole
the
mechanical engineering. Yes. So that's important. And the reason that couldn't be in the main building is really because ceiling height.
Yes. The ceiling height requirements are very different than they were in the 70s.
Exactly.
We were very different in the 70s.
Yes. And then on the south side of the building, the science labs, we still are building 4 science labs dedicated to Shepaug, and we label them as chemistry labs, but really the point of that is that they will have gas and electricity and water and everything you need to run chemistry, physics, bio labs, so state-of-the-art labs.
Right.
And then there are 2 agri-science labs in that area.
There's a food science lab and a biotechnology lab.
Right.
So all of those things that you use those plants to create sustainable food,
Exactly.
to look at how can we impact our world, which is what biotechnology does.
Sure.
How can we use technology to impact that living world?
Right.
All that will occur down there. And again, that gives us great times to do some cross-curricular opportunities.
Right.
These science classes, the biology class that's happening next to the biotechnology class will certainly have opportunities to work together.
Sure. And then across from that on the south side of the building is 2 greenhouses. We've reduced from 3 to 2 greenhouses with the head house. And we feel that we certainly can work in that area. You know, 2 is enough at this point for the population that we're planning for.
Well, this is how ag programs grow.
Exactly.
You start at a point, and as you grow, you can add more things on if you need to.
Sure.
And
Sure.
so forth. So we feel very confident that 2 greenhouses, 1 climate controlled and 1 seasonal greenhouse, is more than enough to create a solid sustainable food production and plant science program.
Exactly. So basically, the site work that was happening is similar. There's been a couple of little changes. The tennis courts are being rebuilt, but staying on the side where they currently are, a little closer to the parking lot. And more parking is being put in, and we don't have all of these drawings yet.
Right.
Okay, so that's kind of where we are. We have received an estimate from O&G, which is the construction manager, on cost, which is less than the previous cost, although it's still in a draft and we're still working on that. So I don't want to say, you know, a cost at this point, but it's definitely less than was originally planned. And we are currently bringing to the state today, today is election day, for those of you who are wondering when we're taping, we're bringing to them the new plans, the new conceptual drawings, the EDO 49, which is something that our finance person's working on with all of the costs and the population, et cetera. And once they have that, we will then get a call from them to meet, DAS. And they'll sit down with us and say, listen, we're good with your population, we're good with this, we want this smaller, we think this doesn't work, whatever it is. And this is normal process for doing a building project.
Right.
So next steps then is that DAS has to have the our 2 projects. We have a science project and an agri-science project on the list to go to the legislature in the middle of December. So we're on track for that. And then it will go through the process with the legislature. And hopefully it'll go from the legislature, they'll approve it. The education committee will send it to the legislature, who will approve it to go to bonding. And then it will be approved for bonding.
Right.
And that's where we had the little hiccup last year where they put us on a year delay.
Right.
So that's kind of the calendar. We're moving along. We're hoping once we hear from DAS and we have the costs and we have some drawings, we will be able to have some community conversations to get people in who have questions, to get people in who want further information. Right. The board and I are very aware of all of the community members who are in favor of our program and who maybe have concerns. You know, they have been coming to meetings, and I think we hear them and we understand their points of view. I think the board supports this project, as they have said very publicly that they want this to move forward, but they
Not a
also
doubt.
want to be fiscally responsible.
Sure.
And so that's what we're doing. And we're real excited about this. I mean, this is a wonderful opportunity for Shepaug, for the region, for our students. So that's my 2 cents. How about anything else you want to say?
I think it's also important to realize that as we move forward, we'll be looking at other ways to be fiscally responsible.
Exactly.
For instance, what is the barn currently being made of?
Right,
For
right.
lack of a better term. What kind of things can we do to bring that cost down and to make it more like a barn and
Sure.
less like a school building?
Sure.
And that also applies with the large and small animal lab.
Sure.
So that the space that we've taken out of them, that is space that we can afford to take.
Right.
That's only the first step.
Absolutely. And you know what Greg Cava will say, who is our building chair, it's called value engineering. We're going to value
right.
engineer. And I think it's important to mention, we do have 2 groups that are working parallel as we move forward. We have our building committee, led by Greg Cava, and we have some board members on it, and we have members from each town who are helping us move forward, and they are really in charge of the building.
That's right.
Making decisions with ONG, looking at value engineering, and they all have some kind of experience.
Right.
So that's wonderful. Then we have an advisory committee, and that's chaired by Laura Miller, and we have people who have experience and expertise in the different areas that we'll be studying: equine, hydroponics, aquaponics, biotech. So they're giving us the expertise from the real world and what we have to be looking for and doing and helping us move forward.
And they've provided that expertise to
Absolutely.
Region 14 for years.
Exactly.
So they understand the educational process as
Exactly.
well. And they've been
Exactly.
very helpful.
Right.
I'm very fortunate that I can pick up the phone. I'm not going to pretend that I'm a greenhouse,
Exactly.
equine, small animal lab expert,
Right.
because I'm not.
Right.
But I know who to ask. And we regularly do that.
Exactly. And so people need to know that you
That's
know,
right.
we're not, it's not the 2 of us leading. We are just part of a team moving forward.
And we're very lucky to be a part of a team that has so much expertise on it.
Exactly, exactly. So I encourage people to watch our shows, attend our meetings. You can also attend the building committee meetings and the advisory committee meetings. You know, they're all open to the public. Trust that we are being fiscally responsible, moving forward in a way that is going to benefit the children and the region, and be excited about the prosperity and the prospect of this program for our community.
Absolutely.
Because it's really going to be fabulous.
Absolutely.
It really is.
The issues that we're talking about are issues that you look at in the paper every single day.
Exactly.
You know, how will we feed our population? How can we use technology to make our world a better
Exactly.
place? All of these things.
Right.
And kids are excited about it.
Exactly. And I was, you know, at Ohio State a couple of weeks ago, as was our Karen Files out there, and they have a whole school of agri-science out there with careers galore, as does UConn, as does Penn State. This is a gift we're giving to our students so that they're prepared for life.
That's right.
And that's how we have to look at it. That's how we have to look at it. So with that said, this is going to be one of many shows. As we get more information, we will share it. We'll bring on some of the experts. And I hope you're watching our shows and following our region. Exciting things are going on. I am Dr. Pat Cosentino. Remember to practice an attitude of gratitude and have a great day.